So welcome to another video of the Random Watch Dude, and today I'm going to talk to you about NATO straps, and I'm going to talk to you about this watch that you can see very clearly in shot here. This is the Tudor Nationale FXD. Gorgeous watch. I've had this watch for, crikey, 3 or 4 months now, and I've done a review on it, so I'm not going to do a review on this watch, but what I am going to talk to you about is, the things that I really love about this watch, which make this watch very unique, which is then going to lead on to a discussion that I want to have, a short discussion about, is it possible, based on the video that I made just recently about reducing watch anxiety and reducing the whole stress attached to building a collection of watches, and I made a video which I'll put a little link up to if you haven't seen it already, my suggestion about how to overcome the watch anxiety, my 3 steps to enlightenment, the 3 steps to utopia. And just to cut a long story short, guys, what I basically suggested was sell all your watches, reduce your exposure to social media dramatically, if not delete all of your social media accounts that are related to watches, and with the proceeds from the money that you have accumulated through selling all those watches that you agonize over and that stress you out, just go and buy yourself one watch, guys. And I suggested a Submariner, but it could just as easily be a Seiko dive watch. It could just as easily be a dress watch. It could just as easily be a Rolex Daytona, whatever it is. Just buy that one watch and that will just remove all the agony from your life. Well, I'm going to talk to you today, guys, about why I think that particular method of relieving oneself from madness wouldn't actually work for me. And I'm actually going to talk to you about a method which I think will work for me. So stay tuned, guys. It's going to get exciting. So here we are with the Tudor Nationale FXD. Now this is a watch which I've had for about 4 months now. You've seen reviews on this watch. There are lots of people that are reviewing this watch on YouTube. I've put a short one out. There is also a black version of this around now, which was released more recently. There are some nice reviews on that watch too. If anything, I would say that the black version of this watch is getting a lot more attention, particularly on YouTube. And I don't know if that's because it's more available or because people prefer the fact that it's black. The main difference, of course, other than the colour on the black one, is that the bezel here, which is bidirectional on this particular watch. I'm not sure if it's bidirectional on the black one, actually. I think it might just be unidirectional. But the main difference is that it has a count up timer rather than a countdown timer. So of course, as you can see on this, we've got a retrograde time bezel, so it starts at 55, 50, 45 rather than 5, 10, 15. That's a significant difference in terms of the aesthetic of the watch, other than the colour. Other than that, guys, it's a great watch. I've had this for 3 or 4 months now. I wear it a lot, and I've really been enjoying it on NATO straps. It comes obviously with this particular really thick Velcro type single pass NATO, which is very nice. It's okay. It's thick. It also comes with this rubber strap, which is, again, it's a single pass rubber strap with a nice little emblazoned piece of steel there, which is really quite rugged as well. So that works really well. It's a good strap. It's actually more comfortable than you'd think for a rubber strap. I've also been wearing it on these various different, what I really enjoy, which is the NATO straps, which are made of seatbelt material. They're ever so supple and gorgeously silky and smooth, and that's just a very, very comfortable wearing experience on this particular watch. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the FXD, I'll show you. I'll just take this strap off and I'll show you what's pretty unique about it. And it doesn't take you long to realise once you get the strap off, guys. What have we got here? Wow, we've got a watch which has fixed lugs, and that's what's obviously quite unique about this particular watch. Let me see if I can just put it down there and then zoom in on it, and then you can. Here we go. Here we go. Let's do it that way. See how that goes for a while. Yeah. So what's really unique about this, guys, obviously, as you can see, is that the watch has fixed lugs, and that's obviously a real benefit if you just want to wear your watch on a strap and you don't want one of the spring bars to ping off. Heaven forbid one of the spring bars pings off. and you've got the watch on a, let's say, a rubber strap or a leather strap, and if one of your spring bars pings off, then your watch is going to go flying into the drink, isn't it, if you're using it as a recreational water sports watch, which is what it's designed for. So what we have here is we've resolved that potential risk of losing your watch, and we've given it some fixed lugs. So you've got these marvellous fixed lugs that mean that you're absolutely guaranteed not to lose the watch into the abyss when you're out kayaking or swimming or snorkeling or, heaven forbid, diving with a dive watch. But guys, of course that leaves you in this awful predicament where it means you can't put it on a bracelet, and you also can't put it on a rubber strap or a leather strap. You have to have a pass-through NATO type strap. And when I first looked at this watch, and I looked at the possibility of buying this watch, because I absolutely adore the aesthetic of this watch. I mean, look at that gorgeous blue. Look how deep that is. I mean, it's quite an overcast day today, and there's an awful lot of light coming in. But it's overcast, diffuse light, and look at how that has a really kind of creamy effect on that blue. That blue in really deep light, deep dark light, almost disappears to nearly like a really what I would call moody dark blue. At the moment, it's just a creamy dark blue, so it gets really moody as the light drops. And almost in the summer, it just pops. Not quite as much as the blue standard Pelagos, which is a brighter kind of blue, but it does pop really well in a summery, bright summer's day. And look here, I've got it on a bright summer's day orange NATO. Looks really cool. I love that. Really enjoy it on this NATO. I've worn this NATO when I've been out kayaking with this watch considerably. So yeah, you're restricted, guys. You can only wear this watch with a NATO strap, and despite the fact that you've got this is quite a thick NATO actually, it doesn't actually wear too thick, even with these 2 layers of quite thick canvas on this strap. It doesn't wear too chunky, this watch, even though it's it looks like quite a thick watch. It's actually reassuringly slender, even with quite a thick NATO going. So I've actually come to the conclusion, guys, with this watch, with this Tudor FXD, that Tudor have absolutely nailed beautifully the engineering and the design of this watch. Absolutely nailed it. I think they got the dimensions of this watch pretty much spot on. I can't fault it. I really can't. Even the way the crown lugs there, the protection around the crown, just the way that those lugs are shaped and almost sharp on the edges there, I think they got that really absolutely spot on. The aesthetic of this watch and the wearability is perfect. So it leads me to my next point, guys. My next point, which is, if I were to go down to one watch, which I suggested is the way to escape all the agony of the watch collecting madness. If I were to do that, if I were to sell all my watch collection and just spend the rest of my days with a Rolex Submariner or a Seiko 62 Mass, or a Tudor Black Bay 58, or the new 58 GMT, that's a great option, isn't it? As a one watch solution to the agony, and just wear that watch very happily for the rest of your life. If I were to do that, guys, I'd have to sell this watch. I'd have to sell it. It's the only way it works. The one watch that rules them all, the exit watch, the one watch solution to all the agony and pain. That means if I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it properly, that means I've got to sell this watch. Well, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. I'm just not sure if I'm ready to let this watch go. I mean, I absolutely know that it would help remove the agony and the anxiety of not wearing it, because when I'm not wearing this watch, I start to get a little bit anxious, because I think, well, this is such a gorgeous watch. Why am I not wearing it? Why have I let it run down? Why is it sat in the safe? That watch should be on my wrist. It's an amazing watch. I could put it on this NATO or that NATO. So this is the watch agony that I'm talking about, guys, and I just want that agony to go away. But the problem is, the only way to make it go away is not to have this watch, not to own this watch, not to agonize over the beauty of this watch, because I don't own it anymore. And I'm not sure whether I wouldn't just be jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire. Yeah, so out of the frying pan and into the fire. Now that's something I hadn't considered before. How could I possibly let this watch go? And would I, if I sold this watch, and if I sold my chronograph, and if I sold my Rolex Datejust 36 with the palm motif dial, and if I sold my, heaven forbid, my 2254.5 Peter Blake, the Omega Seamaster, absolutely stunning neo vintage dive watch. If I were to sell my entire watch collection, the collection that I've agonized over for many years now, and got to a stage where, guys, it's not perfect. There are a couple of watches in my 7 watch collection right now that I am actually seriously thinking of moving on anyway. But the principle being, if I were to sell all of those watches, which I've agonized over in the first place, to then buy a watch which I'm hoping will remove all of the agony, would I be actually putting myself in a position where not only have I wasted all of the time that I've spent agonizing in the first place over the collection to get it to where it is, to then go and just completely and utterly destroy it? To destroy it, guys, to destroy all of that hard work, because that's essentially what I would be doing if I sold all of my watches, including this one, which I know I'd have no trouble selling even in this market. But guys, you know, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. And there's a bit of psychology here as well, isn't there? Because, and I've talked about this before in a previous video, is when we get to a stage with our watch collecting journey where we think we've got our collection absolutely perfect, where we think we filled every single spot in the watch box perfectly and there isn't a weak link in the box at all, that's the point where you start to think to yourself, oh, maybe it's time for me to start again. Maybe it's time for me to start the journey again. And you go around this really vicious circle. And I'm sure there's probably some psychology. I don't know if any of you guys out there are psychologists or have read any psychology books, and you can tell me there's probably some philosopher or psychological expert out there that can tell me that what the name is for this, when you get to a point where everything in your life is great and then you decide to suddenly sabotage it. And I think that's what a lot of us do, isn't it, with our watch collections? You know, we get to that point where everything's great and then we suddenly decide to sabotage it through just the sheer lack of wisdom and foresight about what the outcome could be in 3 months' time when you start to have regrets. So yeah, I'm just at that point, guys. I'm at that point. I'm actually at a really interesting point right now, because I am waiting for a call from a couple of my local authorized dealers for a Rolex Submariner 124060. I'm waiting for that call, guys. It hasn't come yet. I've also seen that there are a couple of 124060 Submariners for sale right this moment on the local auction website here in New Zealand. There are 2 brand new ones for sale. One of them still got stickers on it, and I don't doubt that it's genuine because I've done a little bit of homework on the seller, and I don't doubt that that watch is genuine. And I could buy either one of those watches right now today, guys. I could buy one of those watches right now today for not much above retail. And I'm very tempted indeed to just end the agony, because to be quite frank with you guys, I'm getting a little bit tired of the Rolex waiting game. Aren't we all? I feel like I've done my dues, done the hard yards, and I don't think it's outrageous for me to be asking for a Rolex Submariner and to still not have one when there are Rolex Submariners for sale on the auction websites for very small premiums above retail. I'm getting tempted, guys. So looking for some feedback actually today in this video, looking for some feedback. What do you think, guys? Do you think it's worth me just hanging on and waiting for that call from a Rolex AD? Or do you think, you know, is paying 5 to 10% above retail, is paying 5 to 10% above retail, and you can get the watch today or tomorrow, is that actually worth it? In other words, is waiting for the Rolex AD to call you still worth it in 2024? Is it still worth waiting? So a couple of things to chew over there, guys, in this video. I know it's a little bit random, but this is the Random Watch Do channel, so you've got a bit of a random video and a bit of a random rant today. These are the things that are going through my mind right now. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers.